Hey, TNE fans, you asked for it and now you have it. We are here for the Never Forget November issue, and we have my favorite married couple in all the world. Please introduce yourself to the audience, guys.
I'm Elliott Jones.
And I'm Jasmine Blanks Jones.
Now, for the people who don't know you and wasn't blessed to have you in their lives, tell them a little bit about some of the work that you both do.
Well, we work together these days. I established a nonprofit called B4 Youth Theater that stands for Burning Barriers, Building Bridges, back in 2010. And when Elliott and I reconnected, it was actually at a time where our organization was in dire need of a graphic designer. So he joined our team and turned our marketing and branding upside down and all the way around, and really got us on a good footing to do some amazing work over this last year and a half. So we work together to run that organization and to bring it around to the world so that everybody gets to know what it is we're doing with the young people in Liberia through the arts. So that's what we do together. But Elliott, of course, works within his field as a production artist, and we're both full-time students at two different universities.
Okay, just to tell the people just, a little bit more about Thanksgiving and how we're going into all the things that you should be thankful for in the month of Thanksgiving. What are some of the things that you guys are thankful for in your union?
What are some things we're thankful for? There's so much.
I would say thankful for. I think personally, we're both thankful for the time that we've been able to spend throughout this year with each other and working together, and just the time. We've had a lot of time to just focus our energies toward ourselves, and our artistry. That's been one thing that I am thankful for.
Yeah, building on that, I think just that we've had the time to as individuals and to bring those things together so that we actually get more done together has been a really phenomenal experience. Even though some parts of the year have been really challenging, it's been really good to be able to focus on being students. Like, I commute from Maryland up to Philadelphia, and Elliott commutes down to D.C., and both of us do that 2 or 3 times a week. So we have those times apart, but when we're not in classes, we are at home working it out. The other day we hosted the African Children's Choir from Uganda in Maryland, and I was busy on the logistical side of things, and Elliott took over running the drumming circle. Even though he's a dancer, he's not a musician. That's not his background, but we've done so much together over the years that as we participated in each other's lives and activities, I feel like we've developed new gifts and talents, and have just really had a willingness to try new things together, and it's made us both that much better. So I think that we're thankful for that willingness to try new things and to try them together and to stand in the gap when the other person needs that.
Yeah, because time is very valuable.
Yeah, so it's been good to have that time together.
No, I couldn't agree with both of you more. That kind of leads me to my next question. Like, Jess, what was it about Elliott that made him different? Like, I hear that you guys work with each other and you do things for each other, but when you met him, first, how did you meet him? For the viewers who didn't know how you met him, when you met him, what was about him that made him different, and were you able to, like, know when you met him, like, is this my husband, or, like, go in more into that? And Elliott, talk more so about when you first met Jazz, if you knew that she was the one too.
It's a really interesting question. When Elliott and I met, we were really young. We were in the same dance company in New Jersey, and Elliott was in the senior company. He was the principal male dancer in our modern dance company. He was phenomenal. And I was in the junior company just starting out, trying to learn my way. And he was just so focused on his art and what he was trying to do with it, and that was just really, I don't know, it drew me to him as a person, because, you know, when you're young, I was a teenager, most guys, it's easy to get them unfocused just by being a female, but he was so focused on what it was that he was passionate about that it just made me, I guess, think differently about what it was that was important to me and what I wanted to do as an artist. And I think that in some ways that was transformational. So we dated for 3 years back in like 2001 to 2003 or so, I don't know, 2004, something like that. And even though we broke up when I left to go to college in Florida, so many of the things that we had learned together really stuck with me over the years. So I don't want to say that I knew we'd end up back together, because there were definitely times where it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, but so much of what we had just learned together and how we had grown together really stuck with me over the years, even down to simple things like with my name as Jasmine Blanks, my birth name. When I would write my initials, he used to write the J and the B and used to draw it as a butterfly. And I've always done that when I've signed like my initials on things. And I even forgot why until we got back together. He was like, "You still do that?" I'm like, "I still do what?" And he reminded me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, just small things that that made our time even then together really precious, stuck with me." And so when we got back together a year and a half ago, there wasn't really a question about where things were going.
And I would, when I met Jasmine, this her spirit, I think, was one that was just stood out. Like she said, we were in the same dance company, but her drive, her tenacity, but she still has this amazing drive, and she's accomplished things that you just don't know how she even accomplished them. She has this spirit about her that's just so inviting. I think our beginning years, the friendship, the talk that we had was more of a seed that was planted for what it is now. Yeah. It was just something that was there. It was dormant. It was it grew to a point where we had a love for each other, and it, for me, and she might agree, but it never left. It was easily activated. It was right there. And to tell you a funny story, when we actually broke up, it was in a library where we used to hang out. We would always find a time, valuable time, to meet in a library. And then that day that we broke up, for whatever reason, I drew this cross for her, and I told her that I would wait for her, not knowing exactly what that really meant, because, of course, you know, we both had our own lives and separated, and we grew from it. But that was that seed that just was waiting there. So when we reconnected, it was no thought, no question.
None. Mm-hmm. And he proposed at that same library.
True. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what comes around goes around, and that's the element of how it works with real love. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Like they say, if you love something, release it, let it go, and if it comes back, then you know it's for real. So
that's right.
That's my butterfly.
That's why he called me a butterfly and drew my initials that way.
That's my butterfly.
That's amazing, guys.
It's called Butterfly, the album.
So far, you guys do not have any children together. So what is the plan to keep the element of your culture connected when you have children, because with so many different things that's going on in the world, you find that it's like a lost generation of children that are totally disconnected from their culture and just really just living for the moment, so connected to devices and stuff that they're missing out on all the elements that a lot of us got to grow up and enjoy, like to spend time with their grandparents and learning different things that they needed to know about who we are as a people. What are some of the things that you guys have planned, being that you have a close connection and working with children through your company, to make sure that your children and the children that are connected to your company can be engulfed in their culture?
That's awesome that you asked that. It's actually something we think a lot about. One of the things that weighs on my heart really heavily is all of this violence that we see day in and day out against young black people. And it makes it hard for me to say with confidence that I want to raise my children in this country. And that's really disheartening because I love all of the opportunities that I've had growing up as a young black person in America with such a rich history of black people doing tremendous things and breaking barriers and just being as amazing as black people have been despite challenges and circumstances. But to put it mildly, it's a terrorizing sense to think that you would have to worry every day about your child's comings and goings in the current climate. So we, because we spend so much time in Liberia where that's not a weight that's on us, we've definitely talked back and forth about where is the more optimal place to raise our child. Of course, Liberia has its own struggles. One of the things we talk about is that at least though those struggles are struggles that everyone has. It's not because you're black. It's not because you're something that is what God gave you. So you're not going to be treated badly because of who God created you to be. And so we think about that a lot. It would be an amazing experience, we think, for our children to be able to spend a significant amount of their lives in Africa among black people who have not grown up with issues of racial prejudice, to be able to think a little bit more freely outside of just how black people are constructed as less than in this country. I think that is a really important space to be able to be in. It's something that I didn't really experience until I went to Florida A&M University. So here I'm 18 years old before I realized the weight, the burden of being black in the United States. I think that I'd like to see my children be able to grow up without that constant weight in their younger years, and to be able to take that on at a time when they're ready to think through the bigger picture and the consequences of that. So it's something that we definitely talk about, and we have friends who go back and forth with their children, which is an option that would allow us to continue to grow the nonprofit with us there, and coming back to continue to bring back valuable information to our fellow African Americans in this country who want to know more about what's going on in Africa, but for whatever reasons don't have the time or the flexibility to do that kind of travel. We'd like to keep taking other groups of friends, family members, volunteers to West Africa with us to have these experiences and to share in them. And a few years ago, I took my foster daughter with me to Liberia, and it was just a tremendous opportunity for her. She was 12 at the time, and for the children who were in our program in Liberia to just fellowship and get to know each other and talk about the differences between the two countries and the similarities. Liberia and the United States have such a rich shared history, with freed slaves from the United States going to Liberia. Many of them were the presidents of the country of Liberia in its earlier years as a modern nation state. It's just a really rich history, and it's important. It's an important thing for black people in this country to know and understand. So those are things that we think about, and we hope that our children in the future, God willing, will have the experience of both and be able to be that much more well-informed and to bring their gifts and talents no matter where they go.
And I think that couldn't be more beautifully said, because when you are somebody who's traveled the world and you kind of have a feel for some of the other elements of how Black people are treated in different parts of the world, it can be a eye-opening experience to be around people who haven't had that element growing up. So I think that, like, it's really important to know where you come from and know who you are, and that you guys want to give that to your child. I think that's amazing. What advice do you both have for single people waiting on their partner, and people who are in relationships to make their relationship stronger, to understand the importance of your union and a long livelihood together? What are some advice you guys have for the men and women out there trying to get it right?
Well, let's see, advice. I mean, there's many different things that you can say to give someone advice. I think the main thing would be knowing exactly who you are yourself. Is one thing. I think also, I mean, it's being in a relationship is not necessarily easy and it's not hard, but you have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be able to put yourself in a position where you can be willing to put that person first. So,
yeah, I think those are really important things. I also think that aside from just knowing who you are, and one thing I've had to pray about when I was still single was that God would let me know deep down in my spirit, if whoever I was dealing with, if whatever mess they had, because we all have our own mess, that their mess was something that I could not just tolerate, but walk with them through, and be a support to, and that they felt the same way about what I had to bring to the table. And I'm not just talking about the positives, but all of it, because we all have our own struggles, and not everybody is equipped to deal with the struggles that somebody else brings to the table. So that was my prayer, is like, God, whatever you have equipped me to deal with, let me know sooner. Let me know as early as I'm willing to open my eyes, because, you know, sometimes we're not willing to look at the red flags. But show me what this person's dealing with and whether or not I'm equipped to deal with it with them, because I think that that's really what it comes down to. Where there are no perfect people, and we ourselves don't come to relationships in perfection, no matter how well you know yourself or how whole you think you are, whatever type of trope we decide to go by that makes us feel like we have our stuff together. We all have shortcomings. So is who you're dealing with someone who you're willing to walk with through their shortcomings, and are they willing to walk with you through yours? I think that that's really important. And the willingness, of course, to not just say, well, this is just who and how I am, but the willingness to, with someone who cares for you, who really does care for you, to work through your mess so that you can both be better people at the end of the day.
So pray.
Yeah, pray.
I mean, I feel like that's beautifully said, because, you know, a lot of times people just want the bread, the loaf of a person, not realizing that every person comes with their own crumbs. So it's like you got to accept the good and the bad about the people and take them wholeheartedly, and compromise and know yourself, because the more you know yourself, the easier it is to know what you will and won't bend on. So I think that that's important, and having a good sense of value system and having somebody there who gets it and are willing to work it out. So thank you guys so much for this amazing, wonderful interview of a beautiful couple out here doing it big, beautiful Black strong love, cultural love. Tell the people where they can go to support your company, and if they would like to volunteer or donate, be more active in the work that you guys got planned for the future.
Awesome. Well, B4U Theater stands for Burning Barriers, Building Bridges. So it's the letter B and the number 4, because those are 4 B's if you didn't catch that just now. Burning Barriers, Building Bridges.
B4.
So the letter B, the number 4, Youth Theater, spelled THEATRE. That's our website, beforeyouththeater.org. It's also our name on Facebook, Before Space Youth Space Theater, or you can just do the @ with the letter B, the number 4, YTLIB for Liberia. So Before Youth Theater, LIB is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those great social media networks. And if you want to contact Elliott about his graphic design work, I guess you can really just go ahead and send us a message through Before You Theater. I'll get it to him.
Yeah, and all the links will be below, guys, on the video, so make sure that you can click the links below. And if you want to read my perspective on this amazing interview with these great people, feel free to check that out in our November issue of TNE Magazine. Also, side fun fact, Elliott actually designed the TNE Magazine logo. So if you love our logo and you love some of the stuff that we do, and you're thinking about getting a logo or expanding your business, before we even had our first issue, I had the pleasure of showing him the logo that I had paid for, and he, politely tore it to shreds and designed a logo that we love, that we never imagined would be a wonderful extension of our brand. So you never know. So check them out, guys. Support, and we will see you next month, so stay tuned.
Hey TNE fans, we hope you enjoyed this video today. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our amazing interviews, how-to videos, or knowing what's going on in the TNE community. So subscribe now. We look forward to getting your input on this video and the many videos to come.